If you can't be honorable, then be smart, and keep your snout out of my journal. September the 18th. I don't think I've ever been hit in a game as hard as I got hit last night, and oh monster was I sore this morning. We won the game, which makes the pain a little more bearable. The worst part was I saw the hit coming and had to stand there and take it. The play? 13-week bootleg goblin. I made a perfect fake and rolled right, which fooled everybody on the defense except the ogre playing outside linebacker, who hit me as soon as the pass left my hand. Not only did he hit me, he drove me into the turf and landed on top of me. The only thing worse than the hit was the ogre stink that came with it. When I say stink, I mean he smelled like the inside of a rubber boot filled with stinky cheese and raw fish that had been left in the trunk of a black car during the hottest week of summer. I'm sure I probably noticed it more being a werewolf because of my enhanced sense of smell, but I honestly think ogres just turn up their scent glands for games. I couldn't even see how the play turned out because he's laying on top of me yelling, "How'd you like that, wolf boy?" And I hear the crowd going crazy, and I just said, "Scoreboard." Funny how the pain goes away, at the least momentarily, when you complete a big play. Of course, on the field, you never want to let another monster know they hurt you. Just like in real life. September the 21st. Roxina chewed up a pair of Claudine's shoes. Claudine accused Howleen. In Claudine's defense, it did kind of look like Howleen's work, and I had to break up the fight and fork over some cash so Claudine could replace them. There goes my money for the month. Why are girls' shoes so howling expensive? October the 1st. I went to the dermatologist to see if he could do something about my shedding problem, which seems to be getting worse lately. It's so screeching embarrassing, I don't even want to wear short-sleeved shirts anymore. Of course, being a werewolf means it grows back as fast as it falls out, so I've got an endless supply. I'm like a hairy snow globe. Anyway, I wish I could say that I walked away with a solution, cream, pill, or heroic quest that would allow me to finally leave the house without a lint brush, but that didn't happen. The doctor said that some werewolves are genetically afflicted with this and that there is no cure. He gave me some ideas on how to manage the condition and a pamphlet about a support group. I was like, a support group? Come on, monster, give me a break. The last thing I want to do is spend an evening hanging out in some back room at a community center listening to other werewolves howl about fur loss. I've just got to monster up and deal with it. What I wouldn't give to switch problems with Claudine. October the 7th. Somebody at Monster High is trying to reopen old tombs regarding Cleo's past relationship with me. And by somebody, I mean Spectre Vondergeist. I probably should have ignored it, but I didn't. I found her and told her to knock it off, since she didn't know what she was talking about. She called me a dumb jock, I called her a lying phantom, and she wailed a path across the school, protesting her innocence and demanding an apology. We both ended up in the headmistress's office, where I was lectured about the responsibility of being an example to younger monsters who look up to me. She told Spectre to stop involving the whole school whenever she has a problem, and that almost caused her to go off again, but she managed to keep it together. I know every monster wants to know what happened, but it's really none of their business. October the 12th. H.H. Bloodgood has decided that every monster in school has to write an essay on our haunted heritage. She wants to put them all in a big book and pass it out to the students at the end of the year. In her words, this will better help you to understand yourselves and your fellow monsters. I'm not so sure about the understand yourselves part, but it might be interesting to read about my fellow monsters. I need to ask Dad and Mom how much information I'm allowed to give, since there are some things we don't talk about outside the pack. Our history is written in the Valde Lupus Libre, and even within the book, there are sections I'm not allowed to read until I have a pack of my own. One of those sections tells what happened to cause the bad blood between werewolves and vampires. I asked my dad about it one time, and he just gave me the look, so I let it go. I can probably write about the things every monster already knows, like how during the full moon our senses get sharper while our strength and speed doubles, or how we're allergic to silver and wolfsbane. We're not undead, so we don't live forever, but 400 plus years isn't just a drop in the coffin either. I guess I could also put down where we're from and how our original alpha became a werewolf, but I definitely need to get permission before giving out that kind of info. October the 18th. The stink from my confrontation with Spectra continues to linger, and today I had to stop Claudine from going after Cleo because Claudine still thinks Cleo dumped me for Deuce and broke my heart. That's not how it happened, so I told Claudine the real story. When Cleo and I first started going out, I had just been voted captain of the football team, and Cleo had taken over her sister Nephra's spot as captain of the Fear Squad. I was a BMOC, big monster on campus, and she was her royal hotness, and it was like living the perfect nightmare. Even then, I think we were enjoying the attention more than the relationship. We were friends, still are, in fact, but the spark just wasn't there. There was a spark between her and Deuce, though. You couldn't help but see it when they were around each other. I confess, I was a little jealous, but soon I got over that as our perfect nightmare suddenly came to an end. My wake-up call came in the form of a season where we lost every game but one, and I completed more passes to the other team than I did to my own. For Cleo, it was thinking she could just pick up her sister's pom-poms and not miss a fear, except she was so bossy, half the team quit, and the half that stayed just did their own thing. We probably would have broken up then, but the thought of adding any more drama to what was already going on was too much to think about. So we stayed together and kinda leaned on each other through it all. Eventually, I started to make better decisions on the field, and Cleo learned that leadership involved more than barking orders. So on the night before the last game of the year, we decided to break up. Cleo told me that she knew Deuce wanted to ask her out but wouldn't dare because she was still dating me, and that she wouldn't say yes for the same reason. That was that, except Cleo wanted to tell everyone that she broke it off because she didn't want anyone thinking that the captain of the Fear Squad got dumped. I told her I wouldn't lie about what happened, but I wouldn't say anything to contradict it. Looking back, I think it was dumb on her part to care so much about social status. It was equally dumb on my part to be heroic about it. When I finished, Claudine called me a monster jerk, punched me in the arm, and then gave me a hug. Girls are so weird. October the 25th. I've got a pretty big test in Vitology coming soon, and since it's impossible to find a quiet spot in our house, I went to the library to study. I finished up there, and just as I was leaving, a storm blew in, and it started raining. The temperature came down with the rain, and by the time I got to my car, I could already see my breath. On the way home, my sweet fang started to howl, so I stopped at this coffee place and grabbed a large coffincino with whipped cream, 'cause, that's what I like. I got about a half mile down the road when I couldn't find my eye coffin, so I pulled over to see if it had fallen in between the seats. As I was looking for it, I happened to glance across the street and I saw this freaky cute monster standing on the sidewalk. It was raining pretty hard by then, and I couldn't quite make out her face. I rolled down the window just as the wind changed direction, and for a brief moment I caught the scent of nightshade and lilac shampoo. Draculaura? I got out and yelled her name. She looked up, and I said to myself, "Oh, monster, what is she doing out in this weather without a coat or umbrella?" Good thing Dad always keeps one of his eventuality kits in his car with everything a monster might need in an emergency, including one of those compact umbrellas. I grabbed it and ran across the street to where Draculaura was standing. Ordinarily, I would have cracked some kind of joke, but she looked so miserable I just opened the umbrella and helped her back to the car. Once we got in, I handed her the coffincino and turned up the heater. We sat there for a moment with the car running, and I asked her if she wanted me to take her home. She nodded, and I drove her back to our house. They don't have a covered drive, so I walked her up to the door and made sure she got in. She gave me a kiss on the cheek and darted inside before I could say anything, which is a good thing because I felt like I'd been hit by that ogre again, only all I could smell this time was nightshade and lilacs. After I got home, Mom asked me where I'd been. When I told her the library, she just looked at me and said, "If you say so." I thought that was weird until I caught my reflection in the hall mirror and I saw a perfect imprint of lips in Dracula Red.